Cloud. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're so happy to have you. I'm Joanie from Sun City, Florida, Fletcher Music Centers, and this is a styling and arrangements made easy. Um, just remember that whatever I give you is always optional. You can do as much or as little as you would like to do. So don't feel compelled to have to do everything, but it's certainly put out there for you. So if you want to give it a shot, great. Um, I'm just still clicking people in here, so that's great. I'd like to start for these 4 weeks. I want to start with just a trivia question, and each time one question, and this could be about everything and anything regarding Fletcher music and the features on your instrument. So if we just do one question each time, it's kind of a nice way to review a feature that maybe or maybe not we're using at that time. So my question today is pretty simple, and I'll give you a clue. But the question is, when did Fletcher Music Centers begin? What year? Now my clue is that there's a salad at a restaurant with the same name. Does anybody know?
What's the salad? 1905. 1905?
That's it. Bingo. Great job. That's when Fletcher Music started. That's really the way I remember it, is because of the salad name. I
I
remember
love
the
that
year.
salad.
Very good. And one more for you. What does what's the difference between music styles and rhythm styles?
Ooh.
One is instruments and one is
Say that again, a little bit
one
louder.
one is instruments. That's music.
Well,
Uh,
music style and rhythm style, those two terminologies, there's no difference.
Oh.
That's the blue buttons that are on the left hand side of the instrument that provide your rhythmic background. It used to be called rhythm plus orchestration, and then it was called rhythm styles, and now it's on the newer instruments, it's called music styles, but it's all the same thing. And I try to do a little bit of lingo with you each time we get together, just so that you can, be able to identify the differences depending on which instrument you have. So I'll always try to use two different languages so that you know what two things are the same as far as the verbiage goes. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about As Long as He Needs Me. This was a Broadway, this song was a huge hit, probably the number one hit in the Broadway musical Oliver, that was done in 1960, long time ago. It's considered what's called a torch song. A torch song is a sentimental love song, and the singer usually in a torch song laments about a lost love. Maybe one party moved on, or maybe the one party was oblivious, but that's what a torch song is. It's written by Lionel, his last name, because I don't have my glasses on, I can't read it. Bart. And in this particular song, the love ballad is expressing Nancy, she's the part, love for her criminal boyfriend, Bill Sykes. And apparently he did not treat her very well in the musical. So, and another interesting thing that I found about the song is it was also called and done As Long as She Needs Me. That's not the title it goes by, but when Sammy Davis Jr. did it in 1963, and he sang it as long as she needs me. Now I'm sure it didn't pertain to her being a criminal, but um, that's what it was when he did it, and then many artists after that did it as well. So that's a little bit of the history of the song, and I'm still letting a few people in here, which is great. So welcome if you're just joining us. The song again that we're going to do is As Long as He Needs Me, and it's beautiful. So I have a lot to tell you about this song and the features we're going to use. And the first thing is song setup, and this is kind of really important. If you are a Patreon member, then you have seen the first tip that I was able to give to Robert, and I thought it was a very important tip because people typically forget. So if you call up song setup and you get the song and it sets the instrument up, you will find that put the camera over here, see if you can see it. Let's bring this a little bit closer. This purple button right here, I'm on a Prestige Plus right now. It's called Rhythm Preset. The other name of it is Style Setup. And when you use song setup, and you should probably write this down because I meet a lot of people who forget this. Style setup gives you one sound. So all of your setups in the middle, whether you're on an easy 10 with a couple of them or whether you're on a larger instrument with 10 buttons in the middle, they are all waiting as general presets or general setups. They are not the sounds that are going to match the style. Only the one sound that song setup gave you is going to match. So you're going to get typical things like a theater organ in the general setups or general presets. You're on number 5, you're going to get chimes. You're going to get things that might not necessarily go. So my suggestion is if you're using song setup, turn on your rhythm preset button or your style setup button. Now you've engaged all of your choices on the upper keyboard and the lower keyboard. You've engaged them all to be appropriate sounds that work for the particular music style, rhythm style, whatever you want to call it, how that sounds. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mhm.
So if you forget that, and then you go ahead, like we're going to make 3 sound changes in this song. So if you don't remember to turn that feature on, rhythm preset or style setup, then when you go to change your next sound, it's probably not going to be the sound you were hoping it to be. So I do the disclaimer with myself when I use song setup. I automatically turn on my rhythm preset or my style setup so that I know I have 11 great sounds on the upper and 11 great sounds on the lower split, or 6, if you will, on an easy series, and so on and so forth.
Joanie,
Yes.
does that mean that once you turn on the rhythm preset that you are eliminating whatever special sound combination song setup gave you and that you're
Yes,
now
it
going,
does.
yeah, so you're just going back to the standard setup for what belongs with that style.
Or if you went into category setups as well, yes. Now, frequently, but not always, that song setup sound that comes on is sometimes huddled in with the rhythm preset sounds. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. So sometimes you can recapture it and sometimes you can't. So if you want to use the first sound for song setup that it gives you, then my suggestion is before you change your sound, go and touch that rhythm preset or style setup, now you've engaged all your possibilities to match the rhythm style. That is an option for you to have.
Joanie, this is,
Yes.
hello?
Yes.
Yeah, on the marquee, there are two buttons there by style setup. Which button should you push? There's two buttons it says on the style setup.
You push the first one.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
Joanie,
Okay.
Yes.
before you continue on the Rialto, I don't see the song set up for As Long as He Loves Me.
You don't see the song setup for what? I'm sorry.
As Long as He Loves Me. For the song you're doing.
As long as he needs me.
As He Needs Me.
That's not in your style setup?
No, not on the
Okay.
A.
So I'm going to give you other music style rhythm suggestions that you can use if you happen to not have it in your song setup.
Okay, thank you.
No worries, you'll have lots of options. I'm going to start by using song setup, and then we'll talk a little bit about some features that you can use, which will be great. I'm going to try to get this camera so that you can see what I'm doing. And we'll talk about all the details after that. I have engaged my rhythm preset. So this will not be the sound that would come on with your song setup, okay? Because I'm going to make some changes as I play it. But I want you to hear it first so you know what we're working with. So I gave you a little bit of a sneak preview as to some of the things that I'll be adding for you that you can apply, and most of them have nothing to do with your playing skill sets at all, which is what's really important. We want to sound great, but we don't have to want to work too hard. But let me just go back a little bit for anybody who's new to the styling class. This is something that we try to teach on how to change something from being a song, just a song that you would play, to a styled arrangement of a beautiful song. And one of the ways you do that is to be able to change your sounds and use other features. So I'll tell you where I made the sound changes, and this is going to be a question of which rhythm style are you going to use. So I'm actually going to go through the rhythm styles first, which I typically don't do. But in this case, because they're all going to offer you different sounds, and a lot of times when you have multiple rhythms that will work for one song, which we do on our orchestras, you choose the rhythm style based on the sounds that you liked better. That's just a normal decision that a lot of people do make. So you'll hear it done a little differently. So that came on in style setup, which let's call it up right now for you. Here we go. And it happens to be that title is in this instrument. And the rhythm style for that is Strings 101. So if you have Strings 101, you now know that that's a possibility for you to use, whether you had it in style setup or not. Another sound that's really great, and I'm going to go back to my keypad and pull it up, is guitars. On some of the instruments, it's called guitars. On some of the instruments, it's called guitars 4/4. So this is a possibility, and I'll let you hear. I won't play the whole thing, but I'll do a little bit of it just so you can get a feel for the rhythm. And I'm making sure that my rhythm preset's on. And I'm going to start this time with some duet strings. So that's the guitars, and what I wanted to say about that is it's going to depend on which style you like the best. It's also going to determine by which sounds you like that are offered. And there's always an option at all times for you to go and use your category setups or category presets, as we have both languages there. You can always go in to them as well and use those sounds if you don't prefer whatever the style setup or rhythm preset sounded. The other thing I wanted to mention, oops, I got a lot of people trying to get in here. Hang on 1 second, please. There we go, there we go. There we go. Alrighty. The other thing I wanted to mention is you do not have to play the melody exactly the way you rhythmically see it written. Now you heard me do the next time I did it like this. So as long as we're keeping within the frame of being on the beat, you don't have to play strict quarter notes, strict half notes, strict eighth notes. Incidentally, this pattern that you see repeated over and over right from the beginning, those 3 eighth notes, they are not triplets, just so you understand that. They are eighth notes with an eighth rest to start. Now, that leads me to another thing. That's called a pickup measure. And pickup measure sometimes gives people fits when they're trying to use an introduction, because you have to come in, typically the introduction will say 1, 2, ready, play. But a pickup note, often we have to come in while the introduction is still playing. In the case of this song, when your information screen says 1, 2, ready, once you see the word ready, that's where you get in to play those first 3 notes. If that doesn't work for you, you have 2 options. One is you can let it say 1, 2, ready, play, and then wait a measure and come in on the 3rd beat of the next measure, or actually 3.5 beats. Another option is that you don't have to use an introduction, that you just start the chord under the above the lyrics he with the C chord and it's an E note. Okay? So you have lots of options, and the thing that's great about it is that you get to tailor this your way, whatever way you see fit. And that is really nice because that's basically what the expression of music is, your interpretation of it. And so my suggestions are just that. They're just suggestions. I think I'm qualified to make suggestions because I've been doing this so very long. However, you might prefer something else, which is perfectly great, perfectly okay. So another rhythm I want to bring up marquise, grand marquise. I'm not sure on the aria what song setup does, but there's a couple of other rhythms I believe is a music style you can use. Orchestral ballad, um, out there ballad, smiles. Maybe it's possible. I can't get that rhythm in my head without singing the song. It's impossible. So I'm not hearing for sure if that will work with this song, but I believe it probably will. And then there's another choice of Bolero de Amor, which I think will work also. So they are all um, options that, and you, like I said, you just need to try them and you decide what you like the best. And that's the diversity of the class, is that when you come next week, you can say, well, I use this, and somebody else will say, well, I used orchestral ballad, and somebody else will say, well, I used guitars. Another, on the classic side of the instruments, there's an older rhythm style called roses. That works nicely as well. And I'm going to go now to love ballad because I thought that that was very pretty and worked nicely. So let's call up our love ballad. Here we go. And again, I have my rhythm preset on, so I have a lot of song choices, sound choices that I can do. And this starts with a, on the 0 setting where there's no other number lights lit, the 0 is a low tenor sax. And to me, that's a little bit heavy. So I'm going to start with number 3, which is vibes and organ. very pretty, wouldn't you agree? Yes. So, let me just stop here and see if there's any questions because then I'm going to give you some of the things I added, which again are optional. The chords are optional. And I'll give you the sound changes. And we'll talk a little bit about a feature we're going to use in this song, which is the transpose feature. So, are there any questions? See, I see a raised hand from iPhone. Do you have a question? iPhone? No. Okay. Okay, and then we have Phyllis, you have a question?
Yes, you meant, I should know this, but you mentioned category setups. I forgot what that is.
So to your right of your rhythm presets or style setups, what instrument do you have, Phyllis?
Rialto.
Okay. So then you have buttons that say, yours will say category setups. And they are categories of types of music. For instance, you have a Latin category. So all the instruments are now going to be instrument sounds that you would hear in Latin music. So you have many options of the categories, which just gives you more than just having your straight 10 or 11 that you have to start out with.
I see,
Make
thank you.
sense?
Yes.
So you have to try them. You have several categories, so you'll have to try, like, depending on what you have, like probably country, the country setup, that probably wouldn't work for this song because it's not that kind of a song, right? So you have to kind of look at the sounds by using your custom button, see what they're called, and then decide which ones you like. Or your other option is to not take that option and just use the ones that are assigned for the rhythm style that you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Very good question. Something, I just saw one in the chat, so let me get this for you. Hold on. It says, so are you saying to select a music style and then select a song setup? No, I am not saying that. What I am saying is either you're going to use song setup or you're going to use a music rhythm style of your choice, one or the other. Okay, does that make sense?
Joanie,
Yes.
this is Tamara. I didn't notice on when I went on and found your class today. Did you give the a copy of the music you're playing today, or do we need to find it in a book?
It will be in book 7 or book 203,
Okay.
or you can email me at 5063 at fletchermusic.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Joanie,
Anything
Joanie,
else? Okay,
Joanie,
so yes,
I want to know if you can tell us ahead of time what song you're going to use for these 4 sessions.
yes, I will be doing that
Because
this
I
week.
have this song and I like to write all over my books.
Yes, I
And
will be
so,
doing that this week. I couldn't do it because the computer was totally down till 3:20
oh, I
yesterday.
see. Okay.
But now
All
that
right.
we're up and running, I will be
Because
giving
that
you the
would
rest
really
of the
be
month.
helpful. We could write right in our books, you know. If,
I will be giving you the songs for the rest of the month.
thank you. That's
Okay?
great. Yeah,
Okay.
love it.
So, I want to say a little bit about the chords, which again are optional. Um, if you want to do them and add them, great. If you cannot, that's fine too, no problem. Um, on complete measure 2, line 1, the complete measure 2, because remember the first measure you look at, that's called a pickup. So that's not counted as measure 1. So we have the full measure 1, which is he needs, and then the lyric is me, that's measure 2. And that's where I played a C, capital MAJ 7. And that, if you're playing easy play, is a C and a B. Okay, gives it a little extra flair there. Now, when we get to the last note on line 1, I added a C sharp diminished 7th. So you would write that C with a number sign. Let me see if you can see mine. There we go. Can you see that? C with a number sign with a little circle 0. That's the diminished symbol. And then 7. Okay? And if you want to do this, I didn't think about it, but I want to think about it now. So if you want to play C sharp diminished, you can play a C sharp and a G, and that'll make you the diminished chord. Okay? If it's too difficult for you to find, don't put it in there, because what you don't want to do is get in a circumstance where you're having to keep looking at your left hand, because that really, what that does is it slows down your right hand. So if that's not a common chord for you and you don't feel like you want to use it because it's going to move your hand a little bit, then just leave it out. That's fine. Absolutely fine.
So Joni, you said a G sharp and a G? Is that what you
C
said?
sharp, C as in cat,
Oh,
and a
okay.
G as in George.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now on line 2, we have a D minor that starts off the measure. I played a D minor 7th. And a D minor 7th is C, D as in dog, and F. Okay? And then you see a little 8th rest there. Not a lot of time. 1/2 of 1 beat. And over the 8th rest, I played G as in George 7. Measure 2 above the first F note, which is the word stead. I played a D as in dog minor 7th. And I'm going to try to combine these concepts here. So measure 3, line 3, measure 1, over the 8th rest, that's where I changed my sound. Pick another button. Because this is the reoccurring theme. I know you probably heard some people talk about AABA as a model for music, and I don't like to really do that, because now we're talking about learning some theory that you don't necessarily need to know. But all you need to know really is that this repeats the beginning part of the song, and so since it is repeating the section, I would like it to be with a different sound. So I changed my sound right there. Okay, and the chord changes on the last line are the same as they were on the second, on line 2. Otherwise, everything else is the way it was on line 2. It's a repeat. When we come up to the top of the page, line 1, there's an 8th rest again. This is the what we call the bridge coming up. So I am going to change my sound again. Okay, and I didn't make any other changes on line 1 or line 2, but line 3, back up to the last measure in line 2, it's a whole note which gets 4 counts, and then it's tied over for 1 more count on line 3. Well, right before I hit the CBG, the I won't be tray is the rest of the word, I touched my transpose button to give it a lift, because I'm coming toward the end of the song. So I did transpose. Now you can do that a lot of different ways. You can touch the button, the transpose button, or you can put the transpose feature on your left or right foot switch inside the volume pedal, or you can put the transpose on one of your touch bars. So there's lots of ways to do it. If raising your hand for one beat to the button is not convenient and you say to yourself, I find myself not being able to make it back in, then assign the transpose feature to another place that'll be easier for you to do it and you won't have to touch the button. Okay? Any questions so far? Wow, you must be doing great. I'm so proud. That's awesome. Okay,
Right
so
up,
yes. Hi, Carl.
up, yeah. Transpose up.
Transpose up. That's correct. Now, here's something else to be said for transpose. Sometimes the sounds you're going to use can get a little shrill when you transpose. Um, Men tend, in their hearing, as you age, they tend to lose the highs, so the shrills kind of bother them. Women, it's the opposite. They tend to lose the lows. So if it's too shrill, you might consider, before you start the song, transposing down to B as in boy or even B flat, so that when you then transpose up, it won't be as shrill for you. That's all about totally your ear and what you prefer. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. At the end, I did, we refer to it as a tag ending. It means we're going to repeat a little bit. So if you go down to the second to the last line, which is line 4, the very last measure, only the 8th rest and the 8th notes. And what I did, maybe you can see this here, hopefully. I drew, where am I? My fingers are in the way. Right here, I drew a second line and put dots in because that means repeat. And at the bottom of it, I did the dots on the second to last measure again because those few little measures I'm going to repeat. So it's going to sound like this. Then I'm going to go back and do it again. Now, I always like the endings to be kind of final so you know, okay, I've gotten to the end of this. So the last note you're going to play is a C, correct? Do you see it? I added above the C a G note. That made it feel like it was final. It just takes your pinky to add the G note and you'll be in great shape. Moving back one measure, so measure 2 on the last line, the note is a D, as in dog. The second time I come through to play that, I'm going to play an E instead of a D. It makes it a little more final. Listen. And that's the liberties that we can make to customize it for us and make it sound even better. Remember, this is Hal Leonard, and Hal Leonard music is all as easy as possible. So,
Joanie,
yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you tell us, you put the repeat sign in. Where did that go back to? I don't have the music in front of me.
So you go back on the second page to line 4,
Uh-huh.
measure 3, which is the last measure.
To line 4, measure 3.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
and it's at the 8th rest where you're going to go back to repeat.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Another feature that I think you would really enjoy is on the upper instruments is cascade, because there's a lot of notes that hold here. The cascade feature puts a descending arpeggio on your notes, and that will sound very, very nice. And I'm getting almost out of time here, but I also want to tell you, on your lower tabs, if you have lower tabs, the lower sounds, they generally come on with flutes, 2 flutes, sometimes a string. I took the flutes off, made sure my 2 strings were on, and I added a tab called Vocal Ensemble. That's right next to my string sounds. If you are on the top of the line instrument, you'll find those string sounds in your screen. They're not tabs, they put them in your screen. And Vocal Ensemble, it just makes the chord hum. And that, for a lot of people, they prefer that over this, which is a drone hum. I don't really care for that. I love the strings and the vocal because it's a smoother, more sustained sound. Does that make sense? Questions? Oh, wow, we do have questions. Let's get on it here, Joanie. All right, let's go to Marlene. You can unmute yourself, Marlene.
Hey, Joanie, this is Marlene. I wanted to
Hi.
ask you, what tempo did you use on the song?
I did not adjust the tempo because most of the styles that I've shared with you come on fairly slow.
Okay.
But the tempo, the first thing is, can you play it at the tempo that comes on? The next question is, can you sing it at that tempo? So if you feel it's too fast, there's nothing wrong at all. As a matter of fact, most times we do slow the tempos down. But the ones that I chose, I never found that I really needed to adapt it. Now, I might have to adapt it if I was learning the song for the first time and I was trying to play the right hand notes. I might have to slow the thing down. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And like I said, if you don't want to add the extra chords that are optional, don't add them. But do try to change the sounds where I pointed out, because that really makes it what we call an arrangement instead of a song.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bonnie, you have a question? Bonnie Jerry? You can unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry, my camera does not work. So when you, on the 4th line, 2nd page, when you put the little repeat dots in there,
Right?
where are we to go to repeat? How far back? Is that for the repeating?
No, that's where you go back to once you're at the end of the song.
Oh, okay, from the end of the song back to those, okay.
Back to there, right. And
Now-
you draw your second bar line and then the dots inside, because dots are on the inside sections, both repeat symbols. It's always between, the 2 dots are between the middle line, which is a B note, and they're always inside the measures to tell you that's how much measures we're going to repeat.
Gotcha.
Good question. Very good
My
question.
question is, okay, you told us to take off the flutes and add the vocal ensemble and add the strings?
On your lower sounds, yes.
On lower, okay, that's through the whole song.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Pam, Happy New Year.
Talking to you.
Pam, you have to unmute yourself, please.
She had just asked the question that I was going to ask on the tabs. I didn't get exactly what she said. I got as far as the lower tabs, so.
Okay, so 2 strings and
Okay.
then the vocal ensemble.
Okay, so those are added the
Yeah,
strings.
and you'll
Two-
find those in your screen. You won't find them as tabs on your instrument.
Okay,
Okay,
on screen. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
Now, Joanie, I've got a question on these strings. I've got the marquee, and so on the lower ensemble, it shows sustained vocal, 8 strings and 4 strings. So I push the 8 and the 4 strings.
Correct. And you'll find that in your window.
Okay.
And the
What
vocal
about on the
ensemble
right
will
side? I
be
got
right next
sustained
to it.
vocal, and 6.
It's a
Okay,
string
it doesn't
8
say
and a
vocal
string
on.
4. You don't. It's on the left side of your instrument, so you don't have a string 16 for the lower, unless you would go into your lower sounds, which that's a whole nother topic.
Okay, so on the right side, I just press vocal 8 or vocal 16.
It's on the left. It's on the left because it deals with your lower sounds that are sounding your chord. So you're choosing vocal ensemble, string 8, and string 4.
Okay, and on the right side, do I have anything? I'm supposed to have anything there?
Well, on the right side, I was using the style setups that each rhythm was giving me. So I didn't touch the right side of the keyboard except what was right in front of me to get the sounds that it was offering, because I happen to like on each rhythm style, I liked. If I don't like it, I'll immediately jump into category setups or category presets, as we have called them in the past. But everything I saw, I could find ones that I really liked. So it's totally up to you. It's very personal. What makes your ear happy? But I found that I liked it, so that's what I used.
So Joni, just to recap, you were saying you turned off the flutes, turned on the 2 strings and vocal ensemble, right?
Yes. Just because I don't prefer to hear those flutes doing that drone hum, I'd rather hear the strings.
Agree completely.
Very good. Anything else?
Joanie,
Yeah.
you mentioned the word cascade.
Yes.
What is that?
You have a Rialto?
Yes.
You don't have Cascade.
Oh, okay.
So when you hold a note, with Cascade, it does a descending arpeggio. So it sounds like you're doing this. Sorry.
Okay.
But it's actually, the button's actually doing it for you.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a great feature. Put it on your priority list. Anything else? Well, you guys did a great job today of interacting, and seemingly it's a very pretty song. I think you'll enjoy it. I wanted to start out with still something that was calm. As I said, the last class we had, we were looking for calmness here to start the new year. And I will be emailing you the rest of the songs for the month. And Jerry, it looks like you have a question. Jerry, unmute yourself, please.
The cascade button, the one on the harmony side, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That's
Where,
correct.
where do you use Cascade? At what portion?
You just turn it on and use it when you have your sound.
Okay.
Now remember, if anybody needs me to email them anything, remember please to put your email to 5063 at fletchermusic.com, because once we end this class, I can't see the chats anymore, so I don't have your email. Sylvie, I see you waving. Come on, girl.
I'm just wondering which book you will be using.
I'm not going to use necessarily one book.
Oh,
Although the songs that I have chosen, 2 of them are still in my book 7. One is in a bunch of different books, and another one is in number 47, which is the Duke Ellington. But I'll tell you, the email I sent yesterday told you which book numbers it's in. And then if you have a need beyond that, that's where I want you to email me. Okay?
okay. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's
You
great
too.
to be back
Thank you
into
so
it
much,
now. I'm so
Joanie.
happy for that.
Joanie, I sent you
And if you
a
need any
private.
help, this is the time, to call up. If you're not able to come into the store, I can do a Zoom session with you privately. Or if you can come into the store, that's great too. So you are able to get a lot more help than just this one styling class. So don't let yourself be frustrated. If anything seems to be hanging you up, I'd love to help you with it. So have a blessed day. Happy New Year. And I will
Thank you,
see you
Joanie.
next week on Zoom.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Johnny.
Thank you.
Bye,
You're
Joanie.
welcome. My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Is it every
Joanie, it was the best.
Joanie? Thank you, Joanie.
You're
Happy New
welcome.
Year.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Joanie, I did send you a private chat about instructions.
If you could put it in an email or call me, I'd be happy to answer it.
No, it wasn't a question. It was instructions for you on how to save your chat.
How to save my what?
How to save a chat.
Oh, a chat.
Yes, so that
Oh.
if you want to save the entire chat history, you can do that.
Oh, can you email me how to do that?
Yeah, sure.
That would be great. Thank you.
And
All
your
right. Have a
store
wonderful day.
your store number again is
5063
5063. Very good.
at FletcherMusic.com.
Yep, perfect.
Have a great day. Have a blessed day. See you
Thank
later.
you. Bye.